side. She then takes on precedent that had been set for long that felons shouldn't be able to possess guns, as Senator Durbin got out. That's another track that I followed down that way. She then signs on to a paid newspaper ad that refers to Roe v. Wade as barbaric on the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Okay, that's another track. You can have different views on the issue, but this is what I'm left with and what the American people are left with to look at the tracks. So I just don't think you can separate this from the election that we are in. So that is why I think it is a plan to talk about things like dormant commerce clauses so we can get away from what the real world repercussions are of this judge and of doing this to the American people in the middle of an election. But do I come out of this, as I said, as Justice Ginsburg would say in her dissents, that they were blueprints for the future as opposed to, as someone once said, cries of defeat? I don't come out of this for the cries of defeat. You know why? Because it's motivating more people to vote. You chose to do it in the middle of election, so let's all go out there and vote. That is what's happening, because this should not be Donald Trump's judge. This is your country, I say to the American people, not Donald Trump's, and this should be your judge, not Donald Trump's judge, and they are watching.
Thank you, and I'll recognize somebody on our side after I have a moment. We'll keep talking here. So number one, the tracks were clear to me when it came to Justice Sotomayor and Kagan. I didn't need a bloodhound to tell me where they were going to go. I understood, based on their writings and their philosophy, they would be with a liberal majority most of the time. They have been. I wasn't surprised at all. I accepted that as the outcome of President Obama's selection. But it was equally obvious to me, Senator Klobuchar, that whatever personal opinions they have, I'm sure I didn't even ask them if they were pro-choice. Do you think it would be hard to follow the tracks of Justice Ginsburg? She worked for the ACLU. She was a prominent, progressive thought leader. She openly talked about her pro-choice views, and she had every right to hold them. And she was true to herself. And when the Senate voted, they knew they were getting someone very special, but from a conservative point of view with a completely different philosophy. And the Senate saw the same thing in Scalia. How much tracks did you need to figure out that Scalia would be an originalist? And the bottom line with Judge Barrett, like Sotomayor and Kagan, she's somebody that a Republican would pick. Republicans generally look at people of a disposition like Judge Barrett. Democrats generally look at people of a disposition like Justice Sotomayor and Kagan. Y'all have a good chance of winning the White House. I don't know where the polls are going to be.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think the public will go into the voting booth and they'll say, okay, I've seen the kind of judges Democrats will nominate. I've seen the kind of judges Republicans will nominate. And that will be important to people. I think that Judge Barrett is exactly the kind of person that you would expect any Republican president to consider. Not because there's a bunch of money to get us there, just because of who she is, the way she's lived her life, and the philosophy she espouses. So with all deference and respect to Senator Klobuchar, this is not hard to figure out. It wasn't hard for me to figure out that Sotomayor and Kagan were of a disposition different than I have, but I trusted them in the big moments to apply the law and not turn it upside down. And they have been with a liberal majority, but I don't believe they've been activist judges. I really don't. And every time they rule in some fashion that the conservatives in America don't like, I get blamed for it. Now I'm getting blamed for everything Roberts did. All I can tell you is that I found them all eminently qualified. And if Judge Barrett decides that the Affordable Care Act can stand because of severability, I don't want you to be surprised, because it's pretty obvious to me she's thinking long and hard about that. I have no idea how she will rule. So at the end of the day, I don't own what they do once they leave here. I make a judgment. Do the people before us Are they qualified by any reasonable standard of intellect and character? And the answer is yes. How did we get 96 and 97 votes for Scalia and Ginsburg? That was the analysis, was qualifications. If we go any deeper than that, President Obama voted against Bush nominees. He said qualifications get you to like 70% or 80%. The heart is what you need to get over the line. I don't know how to do that. And when President, then Senator Obama, applied that standard, I said, oh my gosh. Basically what you're saying is I'm not going to vote for anybody that doesn't think like me judicially. And it is as the election didn't exist when it comes to judges. So to my colleagues, it's okay to have this hearing now. It's okay to vote now because, as Justice Ginsburg said, presidential terms are for 4 years. And I want every American to think long and hard about who would you like to be on the court, knowing the difference between the party preferences. That, to me, is more important today than it's ever been. And with that, I'll yield to Senator Lee.